It's a very good basketball team. A lot of respect for Coach Fern and their program, their coaching staff, and tough challenge for us in here today. And again, they're in first place for a reason, and they did the job today.
Coach, 30 minutes, tight game. What did you kind of see change in the last 10 minutes or so?
Well, I mean, I think there's a number of things. Obviously, we struggled to score the basketball. I mean, in terms of we got some looks, particularly in the first half as we evaluated our shot quality. I mean, we have a chance to look at that stuff at halftime, and we got some good looks. When you get some paint kick-out shots or you get 2 feet in the paint, you need to convert some of those. And again, we didn't. And so it's a rock fight again defensively. And then in the second half, what ends up happening is at some point, sometimes the pipes burst defensively, and the fact that Brandon went down and couldn't play. Ezra had 4 fouls, so obviously we were non-traditional. We went to 5 guards at one point, just trying to space the floor, and started switching on defense, and that actually worked for about 2 minutes, and we cut the lead to 2, and we don't finish a play in the paint, and they go down and dunk the basketball on the other end, and then momentum picked up. But what happens in games that are, as you said, tight games, both team, low-scoring games, if one team can go on a 6-7-0 run, it really magnifies the lead, and that's what happened in that stretch.
It was great to see RJ with 4 offensive boards. The problem is the rest of the team combined only had 3. What are you seeing well out of him, and what can the other team take from his performance to be better on the offensive boards?
Well, you said it. I mean, going into the game, I knew that we're struggling shooting the basketball right now in terms of field goal percentage, but in 2 of our wins, Wichita State and Temple, we had 17 and 16 offensive rebounds. So we were able to find a way to manufacture points that way. It was going to be very difficult to manufacture points with this team, with how well they take care of the basketball and the pace that they play. So the thought of, it'd be great if you can do it, but the thought of forcing 17, 18 turnovers as we've had in some other games was going to be difficult. But one area you can, if you're not shooting the basketball well, is go get offensive rebounds. And for us to have 6 individual and 7 as a team, there was 1 team rebound, it's just not enough, especially with us not shooting the basketball well.
What happened with Brandon? And it looked like he tried to give it a go, he just couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know the details of medically. I just know obviously he got hit pretty hard in his hip, and I don't know any details about it. But he went out. He looked at me. He told me he had to come out. Then he came back out, and he said he wanted to give it a try. And we went right back with him when he did, and I could just tell the way he was moving out there that it wasn't a good situation, and so that we'll continue to evaluate it.
And then no foul today. Ezra in foul trouble, and obviously they're a big team, so just how much did that?
Yeah, it hurt us as a team not to have value here. He got hurt late in practice yesterday, and he had to stay back. I mean, he took a real elbow to the nose, mouth area, and so he had to have some medical stuff done there. And so that did hurt because, in this kind of game, he can give you those minutes that at least from a physical standpoint and size-wise, because they got a great front line. Milicic has 5 block shots, and Jackson is very hard to deal with in there just on the glass, and so we obviously were undersized, and I thought Sear fought what he could. We tried Cal in there, Ezra with the 4 fouls, and again with Brandon being in foul trouble, we had to go a different route for a little bit and try a small lineup, and again I thought it was effective, but when you're down and you're with a small lineup, eventually a good team is going to find a crack in that armor, whether it's on the offensive glass, whether it's a cut, off-ball cut, because the guys are doing stuff that they're not accustomed to doing. I mean, we don't play 5 guards on defense. That's not our defense. Our defense is more predicated on physicality, more predicated on help and being able to swarm the ball in the paint, as opposed to now you're down 6 or 7, you're trying to pressure the ball, the court starts to get wide open, and give Charlotte a ton of credit. They also made shots. They shot 50% in the second half. And again, I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it, there's a reason they're in first place, and Coach Fern and the program, what they're doing, and they showed it tonight.
Ruckus crowd tonight for the first 30 minutes. Anytime they got going, your team seemed to respond. Can you just talk about the maturity of your team, where they've come since that first road game at George Mason back in?
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is a great environment. Nothing but respect for Charlotte and their fan base. I mean, it was fantastic in terms of the environment in there. I don't think our guys are rattled to play on the road. I thought Charlotte played really good basketball, whether we've gone into FAU or gone to Wichita State or gone to Temple or UAB. UAB, we led for 32 minutes of the game. So I think our team is growing from a standpoint of because in that George Mason game early in the season, that was our first road test, and we didn't handle it very well, albeit we had some guys out. But the bottom line is, I think this team handles being on the road and welcomes a good environment. That's what all college guys want. That's what college basketball is about. But that being said, we didn't do the job whether we were at home or on the road in terms of the last 10 minutes of the game.
Coach, no secret y'all struggled offensively, kind of this break coming up. Do you try and reevaluate things? Or like, what do you look at there to get a kickstart?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. 100%, we will do that as a staff. I think there's other things. The guys get a chance. This is this was a difficult stretch here. 2 road games in 6 days, and 2 of them versus 2 of the 2 first place teams in the league. And so I think from a physical standpoint, and mental standpoint, and academic standpoint, this week will be big in terms of being able to hopefully maybe get some guys healed up a little bit, or get some guys' body feeling a little bit better going into this Texas road trip next week versus UT San Antonio. But also, I liken it to baseball a lot. In baseball, if a hitter's struggling, he gets in the batting cage, and he sits in the batting cage and he works, and whether it's mechanics, whether it's film, whether it's just repetition work. And when you have a 3-game stretch in 6 days, what you lose is gym time. And we didn't have a bye week this first half of conference play, so this will be the first time that our guys maybe get a couple days where we won't have true practice, where they can just be in the gym and trying to work on shooting the basketball or other areas that maybe have gotten away from us.
Quentin's first game back, how big is he to come back with some guys now banged up, dealing with some injuries, and how is that going to be getting him back in the flow of the rotation and getting his shooting back?
Yeah, he got 3 pretty good looks off the bounce, like in terms of off the bounce drives, kicks to him where he didn't have to put it on the deck, and he gets a catch and shoot shot. And I know he's capable of making those. He will make those. They didn't go in tonight, I'm sure. He practiced for the first time yesterday. He literally has not, the day he got hurt in that FAU game on January 2nd, he has not put a rep in practice since yesterday. And he did it yesterday, so I give him a lot of credit, a lot of toughness for him to fight through it. Obviously, from a conditioning standpoint and timing standpoint, he's not going to be there yet. But I like what he gave us tonight. And, hopefully as the season goes and February goes, he helps allow us to stretch the floor out a little bit, because that's where we're struggling right now.